Okay.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Council of Crowns meeting for the Kingdom of Northreach. Today is July 1st, 2018. Present in the meeting, we have myself as King, the Monarch of Ravenstone, Lupin Moon, Frozen Coast, Kingdom Champion and Kingdom Guildmaster Reeves are here, as well as the Kingdom Prime Minister. The Monarch of Icefire Bay, the Kingdom Regent, and the Monarch of Astral Winds are all absent. Everybody's had a chance to review the agenda, or if you haven't, speak up. All right, then we will move into Kingdom Officer reports. We're going to start there. The Kingdom Regent is absent. We're going to pester him and make him provide a report by Facebook. So, Prime Minister, you're up.
Last couple weeks we've been mostly busy with getting prepped for elections. Heavy advertising on that and making sure we have our dues paid list / voting eligible members accurate. We're trying to be really proactive this time to make sure we have an up-to-date list pretty far in advance in case anybody has disputes, since we have several contested elections coming up. Other than that, just some basic financial auditing. Nothing crazy the last 2 weeks.
All right, anything that we need to be updated on?
Not currently.
Okay, so some follow-up things from the last meeting then. Where are we at on the updating of the ledger?
Completely up to date.
Okay, in that case, where are we at on the 501c3 application?
I will submit tomorrow.
Okay. Sorry, it was just in the notes from last meeting. It said once the ledger is up to date, we'll submit the application. So I just want to see where we were at with that.
Okay, yeah, no, I finished updating everything and auditing the, or not, I only finalized the last couple of events Friday.
Okay. Let's see. So the other thing that was on your notes for the last meeting was the Prime Minister situation in Astral Winds. Where are we at on that?
We have had one candidate come forward. I would like the COC to discuss if they would be willing to waive the fact that he is not classified as a regular member, as he has not met attendance. He's a long-standing member of Astral Winds, and he's been recommended by their monarch.
Okay, so you're asking the COC to waive the requirement that he be a regular member?
Correct.
Okay. So COC, the only way that we could do that would essentially be through a temporary amendment to the admin manual. Basically, it would require a unanimous vote. The process for selecting or appointing a replacement prime minister is that the Kingdom Prime Minister selects somebody, and that person is referred to a local all thing for that region, and the all thing has to ratify it. So even if we make this, even if we waive the regular member requirement, it still has to go to their local all thing to ratify it. So yeah, so that's the process.
Who is the member that volunteered?
Ernest? Sorry, let me get his game name real quick.
His Amguard name is Dom New.
There you go.
And he's been playing Amguard since, I don't know, I think maybe 02.
Do you know off the top of your head what's his attendance is like over, say, the last 3 months?
Non-existent. He's got about 3 to 4 attendance days. He's only recently come back to play.
Okay.
At this point, I mean, you have both the Kingdom Prime Minister and the. My understanding is that executive officer for that region, are both asking for this member, and we don't have any other alternatives. So we might be in a beggars and choosers situation. That being said, is there anybody that would like to motion this for a vote?
I'll motion to vote
I'd
on
like to make a motion to waive the attendance requirements for this member.
Okay.
To proceed with the process as it is defined in our admin manual.
Are we going to be able to get Puppet's vote via Facebook and call it good, or does he need to be present for this to be unanimous?
Just unanimous vote of the meeting as long as we've got quorum. But he's asking for this member to be appointed, so.
I guess
so
safe assumption that it's a yes, but.
Yes. I'm going to call that Ravenstone making the motion and Frozen Coast seconding. So in that case, is there anybody opposed to that motion carrying forward? All right, hearing no opposition, Mara, you are clear to appoint the member and bring it forth to the Astro Winds All Thing for ratification.
Thank you much. I'll get that posted tonight.
All right, and just for the sake of clarity, that was a vote for this particular situation. That was not a vote to change the requirement that it be a regular member for future situations. Okay, does anybody have any questions for the Kingdom Prime Minister? Are we all set for elections? Mara, is there anything that you need from the council?
We are pretty good. I just need to go through and make sure everybody's getting their Reeves and Corpora done and talk with all the folks running Crown Qual so that I can get results processed and quickly.
Okay. All right, cool. Then you can be excused. Moving down to the Kingdom Champion. Lucian, it's all yours.
Hey guys, I don't really have a whole lot to update on either. I have made progress on uploading the Book of War and getting it all up to date. I did not manage to get it completed by this meeting. I am still in the process of working on it. Got distracted the last couple of weeks with some other local projects and some stuff I'm doing for my new job. But as I said, I will definitely make sure it is all up to date before the end of my reign. And much like I said last meeting, I'm actually going to hope to have it done by the time you guys meet again, but we'll see.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments for the Kingdom Champion? Lucian, when as you get that stuff completed, can you provide links to the COC, or you can give them to me and I'll forward them onto the COC?
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I think that's it for you. Mara, I'm actually going to circle back around to you real quick. There's something I forgot. Have you received a financial report for Frozen Odyssey yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I still haven't received some stuff got mixed up and taken to Fairbanks, so Delhi still needs to get all of that to me. There's a lot of financial sorting that still has to be handled with that.
Okay. Can you, I mean, feel free to take lead on that and pursue it with him. I'd like to have it, if not a completed report, at least an update from you by the end of the week.
Absolutely. I texted him a couple times, so I will try again.
Okay, and I know it's a holiday week with 4th of July being on Wednesday. It's all kinds of weird. So if you have any trouble meeting that deadline, just let me know. But we just need to make sure we stay on top of it as we get into the crazy busy season and the end of the term.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kingdom Guildmaster Reeves.
How you guys doing? You guys able to hear me all right? I'm on a different microphone today.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Perfect. So I have completed the rules library for the Kingdom of Northreach, I have linked Goran the link to the Google site, and I'm waiting for feedback from the Council of Crowns as to any changes that need to be made. Additionally, I have had a meeting, in fact, just today was our last Guildmaster Reeves meeting, and had some pretty good input back from the two GMRs that did make it to the meeting. And our Reeve, for lack of better words at this moment, our Reeve culture is starting to look fairly well. We have a diverse amount of Reeves in Frozen Coast, most especially, followed by Loop and Moon having a different group of Reeves stepping up and taking that position and giving some of the old school, I guess, I would say the regular Reeves a reprieve and a chance to actually play in some battle games. Ravenstone, as always, long story short is that we've had a pretty good diversity of Reeves, and some of the ideas that were passed down to me have been implemented, and we have been seeing positive results. The Reeves testing, Kapora testing, has been going by without any flaws that have been brought to my attention. The spreadsheet is being updated by the Guildmaster Reeves each region, and everything is looking well. I don't see any issues with them so far at this time. There's really nothing else to add to my report, and that should pretty much finish it up.
Okay, good. Reviewing the rules library is literally on the top of my AmpGuard to-do list. It's right here on my whiteboard next to my computer. And so tomorrow afternoon is when I'm going to get to work on that stuff some more. So I'll be giving you some feedback then.
Excellent.
Does anybody have anything for our Guildmaster of Reeves? All right. You guys are dismissed then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Let's make some notes here. All right. Let's see. Guildmaster of Engineers.
All right, so I went down to Frozen Odyssey. I dropped some material off. I asked for a member of Froco to help get some of our buffers built up, give them a rundown. So got Stefan Kitson is taking this over. Not taking over, but down in Froco, he's getting stuff built down there. I've asked for a little bit of money to be allocated to them so they can, if they need to buy extra supplies or whatever. Beyond that, Jen Suitors kicked out a bunch of extra covers to me. I got some stuff that needs to go down to the peninsula for this weekend because we've got 4th of July in Kenai, and then there is a Homer Highland Games that Icefire Bay is going to be doing, and they're going to be selling buffs as well. So I need to get with Mara and make sure that Sage has our Square account sent to them so they can log in and we can be paid for anything they're doing there. And other than that, just trucking along.
Okay.
I need to look into places up in Astro Winds or Fairbanks who can distribute the same sorts of, or at least the same thickness of insulation or foam with the PVC cores that we got, because I'd like to have Astro Winds cranking some of this out. I've got interest with Gwendolyn and I think it was Sugar Wolf. I have to look. I've been super busy, but they want to get involved with making more sail buffs because sounds like they are planning on doing the Tanana Valley State Fair as well. So we need to material up to those guys and start working that out.
Okay, I can bring both materials and finished swords up to Fairbanks, and I've got a place up there where we can store them as well.
All right. I got to do some more research, but maybe off the top of your head, do you know of an installation place up there that sell a similar product that we get down here at Alaska Installation Supply?
Nope, that's
Okay.
the only place I found in the whole state that has it.
All right. Maybe we'll get some extra stuff ordered, and maybe when you head up to Fairbanks next, we'll shoot that your way, and you can bring it up to them and whatever kind of finished stuff we got as well.
Okay, how many finished swords do we have right now?
Finished swords, we're probably sitting on about 120 finished ones. We're sitting on about 40, maybe 45 more that need covers. And we still have a lot of unused material with boffer sales as poor as they were at Ren Fair. I am reluctant to spend too much more money on this project, so we'll use up what we got and see if we need to go any more from there.
How many swords worth of materials do we have already purchased?
I spec'd it for about 500 swords, but that's also with takeoff for things that get messed up. If stuff gets broken, we got to do repairs. You know, maybe it covers too tight or covers too loose, and we got to fix stuff like that. So that's what I've purchased for, is about 500.
Okay, so do we have 500 minus the swords you've already made?
Yeah, we could get more, we could get less. Just whatever the margin of error is. If everything went super perfect, we'd have 600.
Okay, so then we don't need to buy any more materials, right? We just need to distribute the materials to whoever's building them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just made the assumption that we probably got, 50 boffs either way. Maximum we'd have 600. Minimum, I mean, they're not that hard to build. We shouldn't run short of material for 500 complete boffers, if that makes sense.
Okay. So right now we have enough materials for about 250 more swords, and we've got 40 that are in various stages of construction. Do we have a plan in place to get those 290 swords finished?
As of right now, it's no, not really. I'm busy trying to get Wolf's Cry stuff handled and crown quals and work. I'm if I get this job with Nano, which I'm hoping I do, I'm going to be busy for 60 hours a week, which is why I'm pushing hard to get this stuff moved into other hands, who's a little bit less busy than I am.
Okay.
So as of right now, it's just we get material to whoever can work on it, and we just work it out. I have pretty straightforward layout for how these things need to go, and hopefully we don't have any more issues.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the Guildmaster Smiths? All right, we're going to move on then. Well, I messed up the notes a little bit. All right, I'll fix that later. Okay, so let's move on to the July All thing. Does anybody have anything currently for the July All thing? Okay, so the deadline for adding anything to the agenda for the July All thing is going to be the 20th, and I'm going to hold that our final All thing the 21st to the 29th. So if the Kingdom Regent is listening at home, he needs to make I think he needs to adjust the calendar, but I'll double check. Next thing would be clan travel coordination, which would be the Kingdom Regent, and he'll have to get back to us later. So now we move down to State Fair. So we talked about this a little bit off or online, I guess, on the Facebook page. we need to get moving with this. So, was there any opposition to the proposal I had, which was to allow Richter and I to run it together? Any comments or feedback?
Here's one thing that I think that needs to happen at the booth. Regardless, I don't have any preference on I'm totally down to have you and Richter do it, but we need some really good documentation when we do that. So is that something we're going to be able to handle? I mean, we're talking region specific pamphlets for any of the given parks. Me and Robert were just talking about this here about an hour ago or so. But is that too far out of whack to request? Or
well, you guys, I mean, as members of the council, you can request whatever you want.
Yeah, well.
So I mean, when you say region specific pamphlets, you mean as far as handouts go?
Well, yeah. So me and Gideon were talking about this, and Gideon brought up a good point. It's like, hey, this is the Alaska State Fair. We got people from all over the state and even out of the state who are showing up. How hard would it be to get a region specific pamphlet? Like, oh, you're from Fairbanks? Here's a handout for Asheville. This is everything you need to know about this park and where they do and how they do and this, that, and the other. Is that?
Well, I mean, honestly, that seems like a sort of a fiscally irresponsible way to do that, whereas a universal one would cut down on the number of stuff that we have to print. Because if we have to print the same flyer but with information for each region, then we're basically making 5 different versions of it without knowing exactly how many we're going to need of each, which means that it will necessitate a certain amount of overage. And printing's not cheap, so we want to be careful in how we do that. But I think that we can probably design one that has all of the information for each region in a universal format.
All right, that's
when you say region specific, you mean like where they play and when they play and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, basically, and not only that, but this is how you get a hold of we should probably have a contact for the monarch of each region as well, if they're down to have that level of candidness.
What about doing it business card style?
I don't know if maybe. I just don't think that spits out enough information. But I think business cards would have to be region specific. I think if you had a good 3-fold flyer, you might get away with a universal one.
Yeah, no, business cards would probably have to be region specific, although that does mitigate some of the concerns as far as like overage, because the region specific cards would be easy to take back home, whereas the flyers tend to get sort of lost and damaged and stuff like that. But a box of business cards is a little more durable and probably more versatile as far as local advertising stuff goes. And we might be able to dip into the Kingdom advertising budget to do that. So I could definitely look into business cards for that.
On the business card front, definitely check out Vistaprint. It's something that I've used a few times in the past for business. And not only is their stuff really cheap, but they also usually have some sort of sale going on.
Yeah, no, we totally have an account with them.
Yeah.
That's where I print out all of our Quest cards and stuff. So absolutely, we can whip out some really nice business cards. And a business card, even in color, one business card is cheaper than one flyer. So I'll look into that, and we can definitely see if we can just get a box of business cards for each region and just hand them out as appropriate. So yeah. Sorry, short answer to your question, Hunter. Yes, that's a reasonable question, and yes, we can totally look into
that. Yeah. Beyond that, maybe we can get some producers together. If we could get a monitor down there with a short little video, just playing what we do and how the game works and stuff like that, I think that'll draw a little bit more attention to our booth if we got a screen that people can watch, because if people are anything like me, which I think they are, they love screens.
I've actually got some interesting information for the council here. I was going to chat about it during event updates, but this is a good spot too. So I was shopping over at Cabela's this last weekend, and they have this inflatable archery booth that they were using arrows that were very similar to ours, and I'm pretty sure they came from the people that make the archery tag game. But they were, foam arrowheads essentially, firing from a regular bow, just like we would use. And in their archery booth, the targets were plastic balls that are almost identical to the ones that we use for resource games, that were literally suspended on streams of air. So they just floated in the middle of the booth in the air. So there wasn't anything. It was super easy to set up and stuff. So it was one of the coolest things I'd seen in a long time. So when I was there, they happened to be setting up another booth. I think it was an inflatable BB gun range or something. And so I was talking to the gentleman that was setting it up, and he happens to be the marketing manager for the store. And we chatted a little bit about what we do and stuff like that in Amp-Guard. And long story short, I've got a meeting with him tomorrow morning to see about borrowing their archery booth, which as long as we leave the Cabela's branding on there, they may be willing to just give us to use for some of our events. And if that's the case, then I'm very interested in splitting the state fair booth between the arena and archery.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. I've actually got a picture of it that I'll send you guys on the Facebook group here in a little bit. But I'm going to try and chat with him and see if we can't also use it for some other events. Because if I can also drag it up to the Tanana Valley State Fair, that would be really cool as well. And it gives people a chance to see what our archery is like in a really safe format. And I mean, we can charge them to shoot the arrows. And I actually thought of some ways to make it work. Just like as an example, like we charge the same amount to shoot in the arrows as we do in the arena. And if they hit a number of targets, we can let them fight in the arena for free or something like that. I'm pretty sure the fair will throw a fit if we actually hand out prizes, because that's way too close to a carnival game. And those carnival guys have got a stranglehold monopoly on that operation. So so we wouldn't be able to do that, but we can find a way to incorporate it and let them shoot arrows and give us money. So I will follow up on that after my meeting tomorrow, but the guy seems pretty darn excited about it. He said they've had it for years and it's just been sitting on a shelf in their warehouse.
Hey man, we'll make use of it.
Well, I told him, I said, we'll leave it up there. It'll say Cabela's, and we'll put it at the state fair, and 500,000 people will see it. And he's like, that's pretty good. I'm like, all you got to do is loan it to us. So I think that's a good partnership we could have. And then if it works out well, then we'll start pressing them for other stuff, like giving our people discounts on bows and arrows and things and stuff like that. So
I don't think.
So that's really all I've got for State Fair right now. So I will reach out to Richter after the meeting, or maybe tomorrow, and we'll get a plan together and sort of update with you guys with where we're at. All right. Let's see. All right. If there's nothing else for State Fair, we'll move on. Storage solution. So, Gideon, you were supposed to do some homework for us.
Yep. All right. So I looked into a good amount of these storage places. For some reason, a lot of these places just have an answering machine, and so I didn't really get a whole lot of return calls. But through a lot of the websites and stuff, managed to find that really a 10 by 20 is about the biggest we're going to find at a lot of these places. And those are going for about anywhere from 100 to 145 a month. So these are looking more expensive I did find at a storage place in Palmer, apparently have an 8x20 Connex for about $100 a month, and that was about the cheapest that would still get us a good amount of space. And I can submit the locations and rates for the places I've found so far.
Sorry, I didn't catch the price for the Connex. What was it?
Okay, so the Connex was an 8x20 space for $100 a month.
100 a month. That's 1,200 a year. Okay, all right, that's good information. Was that sorry? Was that the cheapest solution with in that approximate square footage?
I'm sorry, you cut out for the first part.
Was that the most inexpensive solution with the square footage we're looking for?
From what I've found so far, as I said, I'm still trying to get in touch with a couple of places. I might just run over there in the next couple of days and see if I can get a physical person to answer some questions. But the 8x20 at 100 a month the 8x20 Connex at 100 a month seems to be the most cost-effective way. It gets us plenty of space, and it is on the cheap side comparatively.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Gideon? All right. Let me make a note on that real quick here. All right. So something that I was doing some research myself, and one of the things that I stumbled across were these prefabricated steel, I don't know, like joints or connectors for building like wooden structures, sheds, barns, things like that. And while they might be a little bit more expensive than just building something completely out of wood, they do make the process of throwing up a storage, shed to be super duper easy. I mean, you just throw some bolts, through the holes in the steel parts and just put everything together. It's like Legos. And when I was looking at it, I think a 10x20 building ran about $1,200 once you factored in all the wood as well. So that was something that that we could look at. We'd have to find property to to store the shed on, but we could potentially have something like that put together as well.
That wouldn't be a hard solution. And honestly, I work construction. I build steel buildings for a living. I mean, this stuff is pretty commonplace as far as my work scope goes. I mean, we could probably build it for a lot cheaper than buying a prefab or anything like that.
Also, if we didn't want to do wood siding too, like the house lining, things like that, we could do something for really cheap if we wanted to just build a shed.
Yeah, I'll shoot you guys a link to it. But basically, the idea was that the prefabricated part is just the joints where the boards go together, and it's just got like two big holes for lag bolts to go through. And so the idea is that if we needed to take a shed apart, I mean, two guys with a socket wrench could do it, and putting it back together would be that easy as well. So if we had to move the storage shed, it would be a lot easier than something that was all wood. And it would, be structurally pretty sound, being that all the joints are these, big pieces of steel. Anyway, so that was kind of an idea that I wanted to throw out as well. And I think that given that we've got, still a few months before we get into winter, that if we wanted to build something, we would definitely have the time to do it. The trick is just whether or not we have the money to do it. So, I mean, and we do.
mean, if we're looking to build something, I mean, well, what if we got the good sized flatbed trailer? I mean, how much do those usually go for? I actually didn't even consider building anything. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I know
we could build an enclosure around a flatbed trailer. It's not. It doesn't have to be a rollback trailer. We can get something cheap, and just build a structure on top of it that meets DOT standards or whatever we need it to do, and just
DOT
have a trailer. I don't know. I always just assume that the government's probably going to try to wreck our fun. So
that's fair. No, like for when it comes to building trailers, there really aren't a lot of regulations on it. Especially if it qualifies as a home built trailer, you can do a lot of stuff. So that's an option too. So if we want to keep an eye out for an appropriate flatbed, because I know that you've got the access to a metal shop and welding and all that stuff, right? So that's something we can look at as well.
Yep, and honestly, it's not hard. It's not hard to build stuff, and it's not hard to build stuff that you can tear down and put back together with 3 poles, a bolt, and an R key. That's R key's a trailer pin hitch. It's a carny term, but anyway, yeah. I mean, you can build all kinds of crazy stuff, for relatively cheap. I mean, mild steel isn't expensive. Lumber's not expensive. You work those together and you make it, weatherproof. You're golden.
Yeah, unfortunately, flatbed trailers aren't really a lot less expensive than enclosed trailers. I mean, I think the frame and the axles are what you really pay for most of the time. But we can definitely start doing some research on that and see what we can come up with. But I mean, honestly, an option for, to last us just to deal with for the next year or two might be to just build a shed on private property somewhere, just so we have a place to store our stuff. And then we can start working on, specifically raising funds or just gearing our budgets towards a mobile solution. Or alternatively, just renting a space for $100 a month.
I think either way is just going to be just as financially painful. We spend a lot of money now and we have it, or we spend the same amount of money until we come up with a better solution.
Right. Well, the nice thing about building it is at least we have it. It's ours. If we want to move it somewhere else or turn it into something else, we can do that, which is kind of cool.
So now that the construction's on the plate, I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to go that route. I wasn't sure if we could go that route. I don't know what kind of insurance policies we might have to do that kind of stuff. So, we've opened up quite a few more options already. So, I'm not opposed to getting a storage lot. Even just like some plate carts that you like. If you go to Home Depot and you're grabbing plates of plywood or whatever, and you just stuff it in that cart, like a big scale one of those, just to stuff all our beams and all of our plywood into, just so it looks nice, would be a sufficient option. Put a tarp over the top of it if that's not too much of an eyesore.
Okay, well let's move this discussion to the Facebook page, and Hunter, let's kick around some construction ideas and see if we can come up with a cost-effective way to put a roof over our stuff for the next year or so.
Sounds good.
Does any other member of the council have anything they would like to discuss on that topic? Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the Crown Calls Committee. I have reached out to the committee chairperson, and she is going to be giving me a report here shortly, and I will put that on the Facebook page for you all so that you can see what they've been up to. All right, so now we need to do some event updating. Let's see, we don't have the event report yet for Frozen Odyssey, but the Prime Minister is going to be getting on that. So you want to update us on Wolf's Cry there, Hunter?
All right. I know I said I'd get the schedule out last week, but that was a lie. I've made myself into a liar. That ended up not happening. I have gone with all my crats, make sure that the schedule works with them, and that should be posted tonight. I'm hoping everybody's looking at it right now. Beyond that, still got a couple Mammoth tickets to sell. No more mugs personalized for Mammoth ticket holders after the 5th. Got to get... Man, I got my hands full. Beyond that, got to make it past Crown Quals. So the Saturday and Sunday after elections, or not after elections, but after Crown Quals, I'm going to be digging out the castle, going through it, you know, redoing any kind of paint. So I'll put a post up for that. See who wants to help out with that. See what I can do about maybe prefabbing some of our castle parts so that when Friday the 27th rolls around, we can just put everything on a U-Haul or a trailer or whatever we can get our hands on, get it moved over to the event site, and just toss it up and call it good. Also, who has all the placards to sponsor plates? I need to know
I'll
that.
double check, but I think they're up in the storage area in my shop.
Okay, so I'll need those as well. Beyond that, I need to get with all of our vendors. I know I started a chat earlier, but I need to get with you guys, see if there's anything you guys need. I say you guys because you're a vendor. So anyway, Friday, we know what we're doing for dinner Friday night. Saturday night, where we seem to be having trouble figuring out what we want to do for feast. Mara recommended maybe getting somebody to cater it, and I am not opposed to that because this has already been a ton of work. And honestly, I think everybody just kind of wants to kick it during court. So if we can reduce some of the workload simply by hiring somebody to do our feast for us, that would be fantastic. And that's about all I got as far as that goes. I'm going to get in touch with Sherry. Actually, I'm probably going to do that right now. See if I can get on the event site, make sure that everything's functioning properly, like power for anybody who's going to need power, see where we need to get that strung out to, see how many extension cords we could possibly need or want. And I think that's about all I need to do. We're going to use the same layout that you had for last year's event site, so shouldn't be too much confusion there.
Okay, so one of the things actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so those joints that I was talking about for the sheds, I also thought they might be really useful for the castle, because they would allow the castle to be put together basically with sockets.
Yeah, that's something else I wanted to look into, but I wanted to see what we needed to do that. Honestly, if we can make these things go up without tools, that would be like super killer.
Sure.
I mean,
or at least minimal tools, right?
Well, I don't know if you spent any time. I used to live with a guy who he worked for a carnival. I mean, really weird dude, but those guys hold everything together with bolts and trailer hitch pins. Like, it's almost, if you really broke down like how they put up all their carnival rides and their booths and stuff, man, you'd be scared. But yeah, you know, a good, you know, 1/2-inch hole with a trailer pitch in, or a trailer hitch pin and a lock, just hold all that stuff together. If you know how to rig it up right, I mean, you can build a super sturdy structure with the only thing you need is just, maybe a pair of pliers if your hands can't pull a trailer hitch pin lock out of the pin. So
actually, that's a pretty interesting idea, because I need to find. I'm going to send you a link to this stuff, because you could, instead of using a lag bolt, you could totally just use a linchpin. I don't know why you couldn't do that.
No, but like I said, I wanted to look at what we got to work with first. I helped tear it down last year, but I didn't really pay a ton of attention, because I'm looking at this whole thing. I'm like, man, how do we do this? And so I've actually been spending all year trying to figure out how to make something that you can basically click together like Legos.
Okay.
And I think that'd probably be the most cost-effective way forward as for right now. I know we talked down at Frozen Odyssey about potentially getting gigantic Legos, but
Yep.
I need to look into that, and also that would actually be a pretty cool long-term investment if we can make that work.
Right.
So, but that's in the future, and I don't have time to worry about that right now. So,
okay, that's fair. Let's see. Is there anything else that you need for Wolf's Cry? You have everything else worked out. I know the mugs came in. I've got those.
I don't need anything right now. I do need to get with my vendors, see if there's anything special they need. I know I asked, since I made I'll just get with you on the vendor page, because there's stuff I got to talk to you guys about. And other than that, I don't need anything. Hopefully here shortly we'll be able to make our purchase on Feast and whatnot, whatever we decide to do with Saturday Night Feast, which like I've said, I'm really considering getting that catered, which would be pretty sweet, honestly. So, other than that, I'll let you guys know if I need anything, and I'll let Mara know if I need any money, because she's the queen of the books.
All right, fair enough. Anybody have anything else for the Wolf's Cry Autocrat? All right. So the next thing is the Senshicon Autocrat. I'm actually going to table this for discussion to the Facebook page, because there's some stuff I need to go send you guys there. Okay. Hadelin's not here to give us a report for Grand Academy, but she is working on finalizing a couple locations and dates for the weekend days, but she's on top of that, and she should have a full report for us here by the next meeting. I'm sorry, did anybody have any questions about Senshicon before we, or Grand Academy at this point?
I do not. I just know that I'm really excited for Grand Academy, so I'm excited for that report. Okay.
Yeah, we've actually got somebody coming from out of state, and we're going to try and coordinate with her. I don't know if we're going to try and help with her flight up here, but she's one of the autocrats for the Arts and Sciences Symposium, which is an event almost identical to Grand Academy that's held down in the southeast of the country, and she wants to come up here and see how we run Grand Academy, and to basically give us a hand with the administration stuff. So she'll be working with Hadeland on that, and that's pretty exciting too, to be able to put our heads together on these events and make them both better. All right, so moving on to Dungeon Crawl. So hold on a second. What was the due date for that?
I wanted to say it was actually today would be if today's the first.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I feel like today's the deadline.
I believe it is too. I just wanted to double check before I made that announcement. But I'll pull it up later. But yeah, I'm pretty sure today's the deadline for the bids. So I have a bid for that event. I'd actually like to run that event once I step out of the role of king. But I did want to run it by the council to see how you guys felt about the direction that I want to take it before I do a whole bunch of typing about it. But I'm interested in changing the format for Dungeon Crawl just a little bit. And I've talked to some of you guys about this individually. But I think that there's a huge potential for us to engage the community at large, do some huge advertising, huge recruiting, and just some general goodwill to our closest demographics. And so the idea that I have is to basically take Dungeon Crawl, potentially extend it by 1 day, and to turn it into, in some ways, like a general gaming convention that features Dungeon Crawl. So we would have, a day or even 2 days of general gaming, war games, Magic, video gaming, LAN party type stuff, and general vendors, like just a general gaming convention. We don't really have a lot of that in the area, and there's definitely nothing going on in February, and so I feel like there's a kind of a hole in the general geek calendar that we might be able to really capitalize on. And I wanted to see what you guys thought about that as a concept.
Sorry, I've been hot micing this whole time. We've already talked about this, so you know how I feel about it, and I'm all for it because like I said, we've already had this conversation. How big scale are you thinking? Are you thinking like we need to get a deal with a hotel or something, and like make this open to just everybody, or do you think this needs to be something like, oh, you still got to go home at night, or do we let people camp out at wherever we're having the event?
I think that we would not let people camp out at the event. I feel like that there's be some liability issues there. But I want to make the site that we used last year for Dungeon Crawl, it's large enough to support something on a pretty grand scale. And I think that even without a huge campaign or advertising presence, like we may not get a lot of people from out of town, but even just in the Anchorage and Valley areas, man, if we just got 100 non-Amgarders to show up and pay $25 each to come in and just game, that would pay for a huge chunk of the event right there, and that's 100 people that will be introduced to Amgard. So there's a huge potential membership crossover there. I think we could probably get a couple hundred people to show up to a general gaming convention. We could probably get 200 people to show up to a giant Magic tournament. So, but if we start throwing Warhammer in there and we start throwing a LAN party into it, and and we sell booze like normal, there's potential to make a ton of money. So it could be a huge fundraiser for us. It could be huge community involvement. It could be huge membership drive. But it would change the format. It wouldn't be like all Amgard all the time. It would definitely, it would still feature the dungeon. That part wouldn't really go away. There would just be a lot else going on as well. So it does kind of change the feel of the event. And so, like I said, I just kind of wanted to see how you guys felt about that.
Personally, I really like this idea, and I think the concept is amazing for the potential. There's two things I want to make change this event at such a grand scale, and I think we can at the same time. One, I want to make sure that the people of Northreach want to move to Palmer. I know we did it last year because we have. But I want to make sure that our populace wants that to become a regular thing before we do it. I want to make sure that they're comfortable with the idea of doing one-year events this dramatic. I think just a general Facebook poll posted to the Kingdom page just to get some feedback from everyone about what they think of this idea would be a good place to start.
and while I have no problem starting a discussion on Facebook, my only concern with that really is there's so much of what we're talking about that's essentially going to be imaginary until they actually get to see it for the first time. That I mean, I don't know. I guess there's no harm in discussing it. I just want to be careful not to throw it out there in such a way that it causes I don't know, sort of negative feelings based purely on the fact that they're not quite envisioning it the same way that I am necessarily. But I guess that would be on me to try and accurately describe, right? So so we can definitely do that. Now, a couple things to address there. One, keep in mind, Blue, that there's no requirement that the event be held in the Kenai area. That's just something that we ask as a preference. But I've been still researching, and there aren't any facilities that have come available that that even make it an option. So I don't know if there's any way to even try and hold it there. And if it's something that we want to do, like we've been pushing really hard to try and be able to schedule our events, farther in advance than just a few months, so that we can actually have people, be able to plan and depend on them. And there aren't any facilities anywhere on the peninsula that offer us that luxury. Is there anything you're aware of that I might have missed?
Point. The only things I can think of are like the Peninsula Sports Complex, which isn't going to talk to us unless we're willing to fork over multiple thousands of dollars.
Well, also,
especially since
remember they're not available in the wintertime, remember?
Unless you want to do Amp Guard on ice. Hey!
Even if we wanted to,
well, that's
in the middle of hockey season, so they won't even
Yeah.
let us.
There's no way they would. I don't think they'd go for it. But the other side of things is, and don't get me wrong, let's definitely open this up for discussing it with everybody. Ravenstone, Palmer, is kind of smack dab in the middle of everybody. And yeah, it makes it really easy on Ravenstone and Loop and Moon to get there. But people up in Astro Wind don't have to drive 8 hours to get there. It's Ravenstone is like the central location. It's the kind of the midway point between our two furthest apart parks in Northreach. So, I mean, it's definitely a good location to have, particularly considering Dungeon Crawl is like our Kingdom mid-range. Let's get,
it is
everybody access as easy as possible.
Yeah. It is kind of breaking a dynamic we had where 3 primary regions in Northreach had one big Kingdom event, because Astral Winds had Solstice Wars, Palmer Moon had and Kenai Homer had Dungeon Crawl. So in that sense, it is taking that away from this area. So I want to make sure that we aren't stepping on this area's toes by pulling away one of the big events.
No, and I totally agree with you that was a huge factor into why we increased the budget for Frozen Odyssey in an attempt to help grow that event, to give that region an event again, simply because at the time we didn't foresee a Dungeon Crawl facility being available in the immediate future. So in the wintertime right now, unfortunately, I don't know what we can do as far as that event goes. And if we want to grow Dungeon Crawl and make it into something like I'm envisioning, the unfortunate reality is that has to happen in a population center, right? Because we're not going to have a 500-person gaming convention anywhere outside of the Anchorage, Palmer area. So I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I really want to. I want to maintain that dynamic of every region, at least every large region, having some big event. And right now, the biggest thing, or the best thing that we've got in the Kenai area would be Frozen Odyssey. But but we can definitely chat. And I mean, while we're all talking about this, for people listening at home, anybody in Frozen Coast, if you guys are aware of facilities that I haven't been able to find, or if you have other ideas for, like, you know, events down there, contact me or the COC or the incoming, whoever the incoming officers are that take our place. You know, that nobody's trying to snub anybody. That's not even remotely a thing. We're doing our best to work with what we have and take advantage of the opportunities that provides. So, you know, as the person that started Dungeon Crawl and stuck it in Frozen Coast, I promise you that nobody's trying to take anything away. We just want to make sure the event itself lives on, and sometimes that means we have to make some changes. So
the other option is we treat Dungeon Crawl as kind of our kingdom mid-reign and do what we're doing, but that doesn't also mean that we can't turn our mid-reign into something else. You know, take what would be our Dungeon Crawl time frame, turn that into a completely new event, and we could put Dungeon Crawl back down in Kenai with another event in December or March or kind of anywhere in the calendar we want to. It's just I kind of feel like Dungeon Crawl's the big draw event right now, and it would definitely help muster the forces, if you know what I mean.
Sure, and that doesn't mean, and maybe we have and again, this is just brainstorming, but I'm open to talking about anything. You know, maybe we have another dungeon-esque event in either of the other two regions. You know, in the wintertime, if we want to have that sort of thing. I don't know. We can explore all kinds of options, but right now, being that Dungeon Crawl is only,
to be clear,
go ahead.
You're not coming there. You're not coming through there, Blue.
I was just going to say, to be clear, I'm not disagreeing with this. I think personally that Dungeon Crawl is going to be a higher quality event in the Palmer area. I just want to make that call. You know, we get the input of the people who are enjoying Dungeon Crawl instead of just. I think it's important to include them in this discussion because it's such a grand change to such an important event.
No, I agree, and I think that you're probably voicing the concerns of a bunch of people who are listening right now, and I don't think that well, I mean, I think you're accurately voicing those opinions, and that's a good thing. I just think that right now Dungeon Crawl is 7 months away. And so we have to start locking some things down, and geographical region is going to be the first and foremost of that. So unless we can come up with a place in Kenai to even look at, we have to start looking for something here and now, and I got to lock it down soon if we're going to do that. If we're going to pursue the format that I'm discussing, I need to start, like, you know, talking to the fairgrounds and local businesses and stuff, and I had to do that like yesterday. So that's just sort of where we're at. So would the council like me to write this up in a formal format?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will whip something together here pretty quick and get that to you guys, and then we can move forward with that, I suppose. Yeah. Oh no, Hunter, or not Hunter, but Gideon. He just sent me a PM about Magic the Gathering and 40K. You and I are going to be talking a lot. I'm going to reach out to the gaming community at large if we do this, and I'll be talking to all of the gaming stores and giving them an opportunity to represent. And I want to see, you know, like, I want to see like formal D&D groups and the whole shebang, because there's so much space in there that we can do it right. So yeah, 40K and Magic will be all over the place, and it'll be fun.
All right, I just wanted to like double check the exact dates because on the 40K side, that does fall on the same weekend as essentially the West Coast's biggest grand tournament. So we're going to have we would have a lot of people out of state for that because it is the exact same weekend. It's LVO held in Las Vegas. But everybody who can't make it to that, this would be a good opportunity for them to come out and kind of get the same experience to pay for a plane ticket and such. So I think you could definitely be viable.
Let me double check. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the first weekend in February. So that'd be the 1st and 2nd next year. Would that work better? I mean, 'cause we can always.
If it's the 1st and the 2nd, that would not conflict with the LVO, but you still, especially if we're, I mean, I'm just talking with 40K crowd here.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be able to get them out to this and then have them go to another one. It might be kind of a tough sell because they're going to be prepping for the bigger event, but
Okay.
It's definitely worth a shot. We can talk about it.
Okay, cool. We'll talk about it. Okay. Just a reminder that any admin manual updates need to be submitted no later than the 20th for the all thing to be for consideration by the all thing. And the rest of it we can chat about online. Did anybody have any admin manual stuff they wanted to talk about tonight?
I've got a couple. I'm still kind of working on the wording. Essentially, I'd like to do some expand some of the crown qual entries. I think there's a lot of stuff that kind of gets lumped into the same category that we could spread out. Just off the top of my head, passive construction. I think it's a really general thing, but I think we could break that down to like woodworking projects, smithing projects, ceramics, just off the top of my head, because you got 3 different skill sets that can produce something cool, but it's really tough getting those into categories without having them like double up on such. So it's like I said, I'm still working on the wording, but that's definitely something I'd like to see.
Okay, so, I mean, this all sounds great. Throw it up on the Facebook page, and we can sort of workshop the wording.
That's all that I had.
Okay. The next thing was Mara was gonna discuss some money options with us. Oh, but it looks like she left already. All right, so we're gonna table that, and I will ping her and have her get to us on the Facebook page. All right, so Inter-Kingdom Affairs. Nothing's really changed a whole lot. Did I get you guys the agenda for clan yet?
I don't think you sent it to us, but it is public on the page, so I haven't looked at it.
Okay. If you get to it before I do, feel free to just post that to the COC page just to make it convenient for folks. And if you guys all want to just take a look at it, and that includes you folks at home. Actually, why don't you, Blue, is that something, will you mind just tracking that down for me? Post it to the COC page and just to the Northreach page in general, so that folks that are at home, feel free to take a look at it and let me know if you have any thoughts or opinions on the matter that you would like me to consider for when I'm voting. Blue, is that something you can do?
Yep, already doing it.
Awesome, man. You're on fire. Thank you. Okay, that is all we have for the non-closed session stuff. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add now while we're on the air? Okay, in that case, thanks you very much, everybody, for showing up to the meeting. For those of you guys tuning in at home, I appreciate you sitting through and keeping yourselves informed on what's going on in your kingdom.